Hello, everybody. Jaden Bax here with Avenue Financial out from Crossfield, Alberta. I'm joined as always by my cousin Mike Parkinson from Dominion Lending Centres in Campbell River, British Columbia. How you doing today, Mike?
I'm having a great day, Jay. How about you?
Yeah, loving life. The sun is shining, birds are singing. Couldn't be better. So,
Sweet.
have a really interesting topic today. It's something that I talk about with a lot of clients, and I use the broker terminology, and I just kind of assume everybody knows what I'm talking about, but not necessarily. We're talking about HELOCs today. Um, and so when I talk about HELOCs, quite often people know what I'm talking about, but I have a lot of clients that, well, what's a HELOC? HELOC, put simply, is a home equity line of credit, and it's a different kind of mortgage that most people, the vast majority of people, wouldn't have it as the first mortgage on their house, but it could be behind your first mortgage and give you some access to the equity of your house. So why don't you talk a little bit more about the process of getting a HELOC, what the differences between a mortgage and a HELOC, and why somebody might want a HELOC, Mike?
Absolutely. HELOCs are basically tied. Like Jaden just said, most people have just lines of credits, say maybe $10,000 limit or whatever. HELOC is different because it's not different. It's like a line of credit. It's a bigger line of credit, but it's secured to your property, so the interest rate's less. So there's more security for the lender, and you typically have to have good equity into your home. So I do a ton of these with clients. I work with a lot of clients with lots of equity that are refinancing, restructuring. They use it for many different things. It's a phenomenal tool. I have one myself on my house, and it's good in many ways, but it's bad in many ways, and you need to understand it, right? So
Yeah.
basically, a home equity line of credit, let's say your house is paid for free and clear and you want to refinance your house. Well, the maximum you can go is to 65% of the value. That's just a rule that they've come out with. It's mandated. But you can combine that with a mortgage or a couple different tiers of a mortgage, and you could have two or three lines of credit. Every lender that offers these products is different. So
Yeah.
we're, right now we're just going to talk about the line of credit, but we'll get into it's called an all-in-one on the next video. But the
Yeah.
line of credit interest rate is basically, it's higher than like a mortgage typically. A standard line of credit, secured line of credit, is typically prime plus half, depending on how much you take. But we have seen, prime plus 0.2. We've seen lower rates depending on how this, maybe even prime. Depends on how strong the client is, how much value they have in the home, maybe how much collateral they have, how much investments they have. So the strength of the client means a lot. How much they're taking out as well. The great thing about a line of credit is it's fully open, so you can use it, re-advance it, use it, re-advance it, just like a normal line of credit. And it's great in many ways. A lot of people use them for investing. Um, Maybe they're buying investments, maybe they're buying a revenue property where they take funds out of their house, but they want to separate their regular mortgage, with a line of credit. So for accounting purposes. And another thing that you really is really important about a line of credit is that you can turn them into a mortgage with some lenders. With some you can't. So it's really important to understand that, and I want to hammer that home. Most of the lenders I use, like for secured lines of credits, are big banks. Meaning that if I borrow 50 or 100 grand, I did rentals on my house and I was done, and I was at prime plus half, let's just say, and I wanted to turn that into a variable at prime minus one, let's just say, I can do that. And I can do it over a 30-year amortization. So these are strategies that Jay and I can work with you guys on to help you set it up properly. And Jay, why don't you talk about collateral, like how there are collateral charges, and that you got to be careful because a secured line of credit is a demand loan. So the
Yeah.
bank, if your property dropped in value and you maxed out your secured line of credit, they could come back and want to lower that. So
I think you just talked about it, Mike. You
yeah,
just kind of
sorry, I
went the whole
talked to
thing.
you too much, Jay.
But basically, so there's, generally speaking, when you look at mortgages, there's what's called a conventional charge, which is just they register the amount that you've taken out of the mortgage. And there's a collateral charge where they actually, with the banks, it can be a great thing in terms of accessing equity in your house later on. They register the charge for, generally speaking, 125% of the value of your home. And so later on, if you came in and you got a mortgage with one of the big banks and then wanted to add on a line of credit afterwards, there's actually already room built into the way they've done the charge to do that. but like Mike said, there's a couple of things that go on with that. That's great in a rising value environment. But because, like Mike said, it's a demand loan. If values start to fall, the bank can call your loan, and they can ask you not only to pay out that line of credit, but to pay out the entire mortgage at any time, right? So that can get a little bit, a little bit scary. And there's a reason why they cap HELOCs at 65% of the value of
Right.
the home, and that's one of the reasons. Um, and the other thing with the HELOC that I think you said that is really important, I want to really hammer home, there are slightly higher interest rates, but it is a totally open option. It's like you have a bank account to
Yep.
do what you need to do, right? So it's like you have a kind of a low interest a bank account that every time you take out money you pay, just like your normal line of credit, right? So we see people use these in really great, intelligent ways. It's important that you're chatting to Mike about it, but to me about it, about how you want to structure it and what you're using the HELOC for. Because I see people who've come to me to get a mortgage, and they've wanted to do their whole home in a HELOC. And when you talk to them and ask them, well, why do you want to do that? What's your plan behind this? If they're not telling me that they plan to aggressively pay down their mortgage, and they're going to do it within, X number of years or whatever,
Yeah.
there's probably some upside to having a mortgage component, a traditional mortgage component at a lower interest rate there as well, right, Mike? So,
Yeah.
um,
Like I have a ton of clients that use it for, let's say they're going to sell a rental property or something like that. They buy a house or they know that they're going to sell their home in the next 6 months or something,
yeah,
their second home, or maybe they're buying a property and they're going to just keep them both, so they don't have to rush with moving in and stuff like that. And they're going to sell their property. And we do a whole bunch. We do maybe 200 grand as a secured line of credit, so that when they
yep,
sell their house, they have the 200 grand to put down. They're just left with their traditional mortgage. So there's so many options. Investors
yeah,
love them. They're phenomenal for that. But like Jaden said, every secured line of credit is different. So you need to
yep,
understand what you're getting into. You need to know that, yes, you can turn that into a mortgage if you want at a much lower rate. Flexibility is huge. They're phenomenal asset tools that we can use to help you guys, but it's not for everybody. Um, and another thing that I wanted to say is that not a lot, some of the lenders we use, as you pay your mortgage component down, that secured line of credit grows up to where your limit was originally. So things like, let's just say you started with $100,000 line of credit and had a $100,000 mortgage, and your mortgage was down to 50 grand. Now your line of credit's at 150,000. You could borrow up to. So as you pay your principal down on your mortgage component, then it increases your line of credit component. So there's lots to it. So obviously we don't want to get into all of it right now. If you have any questions about it, I'm in BC, give me a call, and Jaden's in Alberta. Anytime, we're happy to chat with you guys and see if this makes sense or not. So.
right. Well, thanks, Mike, and we'll see you all next week.